Today, students are trapped in a frantic, high-speed race, battling intense anxiety solely to secure a paycheck. The whole system has been reduced to a simple economic formula. You pay exorbitant fees, you receive a degree, and ideally, you get a job. We have turned learning into a caricature of itself. Today's system focuses almost exclusively on making a living, often at the expense of building a meaningful life. Look at this visualization of the word's actual Latin root, educe. It means to draw out. The original goal was to bring forth the latent, inherent potential that already exists inside of us. This philosophy of educing prioritizes internal transformation, aiming to refine the human spirit into a more virtuous, integrated version of itself. To understand how the modern student experience became so hollow, we need to examine the ancient frameworks we abandoned along the way. Let's look back at the ancient Gurukul tradition. In this system, education was strictly the responsibility of the state. The individual paid nothing. Ashrams and hermitages operated entirely under the patronage of regional kings and maharajas. The rulers directed the flow of donations, completely removing the financial burden from families. Because learning was entirely divorced from money, a student's psychological focus remained exactly where it belonged, on mastering diverse disciplines and developing moral character. Now look at how we operate today. The entire apparatus revolves around money, and the financial burden has been placed squarely on the shoulders of the individual student. When you force a student to pay out of pocket, a psychological shift occurs. They begin to treat their education as a financial investment, one that strictly requires a monetary return. The moment learning shifted from a state-sponsored right to a consumer purchase, the demand for character development was permanently replaced by a demand for job placement. The structure of the Gurukul required a 15-year commitment. It was a 24/7 total immersion process where students lived alongside their guru to absorb an integrated value system. Contrast that with our modern campuses. We have advanced facilities and massive physical infrastructure, yet students treat learning as a part-time, highly transactional activity. This fragmented schedule consistently fails to produce the kind of graduates possessing the foundational virtues that Plato would have defined as a truly good citizen. We obviously can't return to living in forest ashrams. Instead, we must adopt Rabindranath Tagore's principle of selective assimilation, taking the most effective philosophies from the past to repair the present. Watch how this framework builds. We assimilate what are known as the 5 Ds. You start with a clear sense of duty and devotion, you add strict discipline and determination, and you guide it all with discrimination, knowing what is truly good for you. Mastering these 5 Ds turns education into a constant, rigorous state of mind that exists far beyond the walls of a classroom. The philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau described an unseen social contract. The moment you begin your education, you unknowingly enter into a binding agreement with society. You start in the position of the receiver. Your open hand takes in security, knowledge, and vast resources provided by society. But here is the critical turning point. The moment you achieve your educational goals, the physical position of this hand must invert. You have now entered the second phase, the position of the giver. You are obligated to doubly pay back into the exact same society from which you extracted your success. This contract proves that true education is a relentless, lifelong process. It goes down to the last mile, continuing long after the tuition fees stop. The country faces complex, shifting challenges today, and desperately requires dedicated citizens who fully understand this lifelong contract. Ultimately, education arms the individual for a greater responsibility, the sacred, lifelong task of nation building.